Hello and welcome to another build video. In this one we're gonna tackle the build of the D4 dampers recently released on the A800 FXR front wheel drive kit. So without further ado, let's get to it. First step, we want to insert the damping bypass valve inside its location. So for that we're gonna grab the vane and its corresponding O-ring, stick it into its groove, and whilst holding with the tip of your finger, you want to insert it from the bottom and carefully rotating it until you feel a click and the O-ring on top is fully seated into its groove. We're gonna set it to minimal damping, that's 60%. And we're gonna use this MXLR shock vac support to let it rest for now. But meanwhile, the supplied P67-D4 supply in the kit, the little support plate, is perfectly fine for this job. Next, we're gonna grab the damper vane and its corresponding P63R piston. For that piston, we want to use a little bit of grease around the edge of the top. So for that, we're gonna use this MXLR O-ring grease, which does a really good job. So just with the tip of a screwdriver, we're gonna grab just a little bit of grease and carefully apply it on the edge of the piston. That's gonna do. And then you want to insert the piston inside its location, inside the damper vane, all the way in. And next you want to grab the big O-ring and already insert it onto the vane, and we want to use a bit of shock oil already there to fill up the small cavities and pre-lube everything. We're gonna use 300 shock oil for this build, so just a small drop on top of it to pre-lube everything and insert the vane inside the damper body. Next up, all the way in, and we can already fit the damping progressivity adjuster plate into the damper. Be careful to make sure the little finger goes inside its cavity inside the damper case. Sometimes it needs a bit of help and persuasion, and you know it's fully inserted when it's fully flush with the surface of the damper. Next, we can fill up the damper. Same oil, 300 viscosity, which is a really good starting point for all surfaces. And you can fill it up really all the way up to the brim until it forms a bit of a meniscus on top of the damper. You want actually a little bit too much oil rather than not enough. And then from then on, we can apply the first cycle of vacuum. And because these dampers have a lot of small cavities everywhere inside, it will take a lot of vacuum cycles until all the bubbles will escape. Up to 10, even 12 cycles is not unheard of. So be patient, do as many as you need. As long as you see bubbles coming off the oil, you're not done yet. So I will do a few cycles and catch you guys in a minute. During this process, it is also a good idea to slightly wiggle the blade up and down in different various positions and reapply vacuums like so, giving yourself more chances to let some trapped air escape from the damper. Alright, a few cycles later, I don't see any air coming out anymore. So we can move on to the next step. So because a lot of air has escaped, it's a good idea to add a bit of oil to make sure you have plenty enough. It's just slightly above the edges of the damper case. And now comes the tricky part of putting the caps on. So we're gonna grab a bit of paper tissue because this can get a little bit messy. Grab a bit of a long screw and use it to grab the damper cap. And now the trick is to lay the damper cap as flat as possible on top of the damper to make sure the oil occupies all the cavities inside, and also making sure the little hole for the damping plate catches on. And with the 1.5 screwdriver, put the screws on top, catch the O-ring, don't use too much force on these screws because the threads are very small, and also because some oil can be trapped behind, it's therefore quite easy to strip the threads. Then grab onto the 8247 probe, and we're gonna push the piston all the way up from the bottom. A bit of oil will escape. It is the last chance for any air bubble to escape, because now we're gonna use the last screws to fully close the damper. So let's wipe the excess. At this stage, it's even a good idea to clean the complete damper with some brake cleaner, because some dirt can stick to the oil and wreck everything. So now comes the verdict. If the damper has been correctly assembled with no air inside, let's install the ST102. Very important for this screw, you want to go all the way to contact and then add a quarter of a turn. So tighter than you would normally think. You want the clamping action and the friction of the part to act on the shaft rather than the screw acting as a pin. So during the first build, it's very likely that some air will still be trapped inside. There is almost no way around it. This one feels alright actually. I might have been lucky and done a good job, but it's not at all surprising that during the first build you will have some bubbles inside. They can be trapped all the way around the bypass channel, so no panic. Let them sit for a while, upright, let the air move up, remove the cap, and repeat the vacuum cycle once or twice and redo the final step. Last but not least, this is new. This is a new vein to go from linear or progressive damping. A nice mnemotechnic way to remember it. This way, where the screw protrudes, it's progressive. Protrudes, progressive. Turn it 180 degrees. This is linear. And there is an intermediate mode right in the middle, which is semi-progressive. As a rule of thumb, we found that progressive works best for low grip and bumpy tracks. Also, it's pretty good on carpet. Very common to use on carpet as well, just adds grip. And on very edgy, high grip surfaces, very flat tracks, we prefer linear. Time will tell what semi-progressive does for us. It's also fairly new, so we'll keep you guys posted. The final step will be to install the accessories on the damper, the spring and right screw holders. This already been tackled in the D3 damper video. Click on this link to get access to that video. Otherwise, thanks you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in a later video. Ciao, ciao.